Okay, how much time do we want
Um,
to, I mean,
Yeah,
let's
it's-
just discuss it.
it's
and
just
we'll
basic
don't know.
discussion, and if you want to kind of set any parameters about really what it is that you'd like to talk about on the issue, if the big issue is proper zoning classification of our industrial areas. Is there anything in particular that you'd like to look at? Is there any criteria that you base that on about what's proper versus what's not? Any ideas about how you'd like to kind of couch the discussion?
Well, I think the only thing is, we talked about, the Egyptian vault maybe is for sale. Right? Is that,
I think yeah, generally is.
and, do we want to control maybe what possibly come, I mean, that's right downtown, basically. We spent a bunch on Adventureland lights downtown, so, we don't want to ruin an Adventureland.
Kind of like that.
Just kidding you.
Don't make that part of the record.
Adventureland lights.
No, but you understand what I'm saying. Maybe it's, and maybe we should talk to some of those people first and feel them out.
Are we talking about the properties or the code, or both?
It's wide open, whatever you might like it to be, because, obviously we can talk about the properties and whether they're properly classified or not, but it could also be that you want to take a look at the code and have some better definition about what's allowed versus what isn't. Our code, and I think it's somewhat intentional, is somewhat vague. Because I've seen a lot of these codes that would go down through the commercial district and would say, this is allowed, 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 this is allowed. And the list is 30 or 40 items long. And ours, we chose not to do that.
If we change the code, would they be grandfathered in anyway because?
Of the use, yeah.
Sure. So then that wouldn't do us any good.
No, just the use of what it is like now.
But it does for clarity and then also for future use.
Right. I mean, that was the argument. It was weird, so it's not what it is, it's
What it
what
could be.
it could be.
Could be.
And we changed the code, I think we could grandfather everybody in.
I was involved in the comprehensive plan, and we didn't spend a whole lot of time on this. As I remember it, we just identified where the industrial zones, what their usages are today, and then identify what something might be in the future. We didn't spend any time looking at those zones and, like the Egyptian vault, I'm not picking on them, and looking at, well, do we want another use there?
Mhm.
We never answered that.
Right.
We didn't spend the time to do that. And so maybe that should come on our shoulders here.
Other than the one property that was actually brought up during the comp plan specifically,
Yep.
dealt with the town.
Yep. It's the only one we actually really talked about. And it was just prior to their fire.
Yep.
Because it happened right after we had discussed it, and
But it also didn't go anywhere,
No.
for that matter. Nobody was willing to make that big jump with a major employer.
Well, it's a heck of a bridge to cross. About it.
We're trying to run anybody out of town. We're just trying to
Protect the future.
protect the future. And that would be the argument with the rear property.
and it would be for the Egyptian vault company.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
think anybody has any
No.
issues there, by any means,
What other ones would be mid-states?
I think if we're, personally, I think if we're gonna look, we look at all the industrial areas. Yeah, and I honestly don't know where they all are.
Just everything in blue.
Right there in front of you.
gets involved.
It doesn't hurt to take a look. I'd tell you, my opinion on the deal is that there absolutely is a proper space for an industrial zone. It's gotta be. We need to have those things in town.
Well, you didn't seem to want to have the junkyard where it was.
Yeah, I agree with you. But no, there is a proper space for industry and job creators.
Yeah, we gotta have an industrial area.
Sure.
But I think what you'd find in most cities, they tend to get off the
Cluster-
road.
cluster together
On
would be
the
on the highways.
outskirts, or what may have been the former outskirts of the town.
Mhm.
But we're
We're so
not.
small, we don't have.
I know, we don't, yeah, everything's outskirts, you know, that's the problem.
Well, what compounds the problem, we're not a community that doesn't have something huge to preserve, and that's the lake. I mean, that's, anything we do, I mean, we're gonna have to look at the impact, or what may be an impact on the lake
Mhm.
from some type of industry. Whether it be one that's gonna use a whole lot of water, like an ethanol plant, or, who knows?
True.
What's the future might bring?
Well, how would you like to go about this? And you want to take a look at the code first and then apply it to properties? You want to look at properties first and see how the current code applies?
Well, everybody has with this map a pretty good idea of where they're at. And I guess, can everybody identify who's involved with this map? What I'm thinking is we take a look at it and then we get a copy of the code and save it for another meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see somebody else's idea, what, like you were using the example of where they identified specific types of businesses.
I can get you.
I'd also like, does that kind of address like light industrial? Or is that?
Sure.
Because everything we have may be light industrial, I don't know.
We could possibly just make a minor change to get what we want.
But if you can get that to us, Scott,
I'll
I appreciate it.
Some samples.
And I don't know if, I think everybody can kind of tell what we've got here.
Well,
Is that-
that's separate anyway from the area that we were talking about the other day. The one that over here,
United States.
the one we were talking about here was the one connected to the resident property.
There's commercial, and then it must be, that must be the drive-in that's commercial, and then to the east, that's all mid-states, one piece? Okay.
Yeah,
Going
so
south,
No.
there's city.
when you looked at zigzag kind of there in the middle of town, go to the clear south part of it is, starts at stock popcorn, works up to include the lumberyard, jogs over to Paul Company, and then north through Hanson Silo and Jacobson's in the city.
So the lumberyard's an industrial area.
Yep. And that's one of those things where we wouldn't really define which zone that properly fits into based upon what we have right now. Our industrial zone says a use within an industrial zone is something that by its nature is an industry. You know, and that's about the extent of the definition. It was really, really, really big. But I will get a couple of examples of some industrial zones and get those out to you.
We basically have, this is just all commercial, where Denny's or Denny's station and stuff, that's all commercial.
That's
There's
all
just a
commercial.
200
feet.
foot.
Yeah.
So that was never rezoned in the houses up there.
We allow residential uses in a commercial zone.
Commercial zone.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that we discussed on the comprehensive plan, weren't we suggesting some changes there in the zoning of these out areas? I thought we did.
Yeah, that was, I don't know if it got, ended up getting written down as a formal policy and some action steps out of the plan or not, but we talked about it a lot. That we have all of this, in this case, orange, R3 area, that what the consultant referred to as a parking zone. That if it's really not used for anything, we park it in an R3 zone. So that's really unusual, and a common parking zone would be ag.
And he basically suggested that we should address the issue.
Yeah, he did, because, you know, worst, from a city perspective, worst case is you get somebody clear down here in the corner of the R3, says, I'm gonna put a little development down there. Okay? And they put a multifamily development down there, we gotta get utilities to it. And, or they have to get utilities done to themselves. But
He felt like this is a common thing, that they use it for ag, and then you can go any direction you want. Because it's the most specific. Did he not say that?
what do you call it? Essentially the most restrictive, you know, so that you can only, you can use it for ag, but ag is also on the hierarchy of zoning, ag is the lowest, and then you work your way up. It's a lot easier to work your way into residential.
But I think it would benefit us in that, you know, we aren't running into something like this, where we have an R3 and have, like you said, something built on it, and then all of a sudden, something comes up where we might want to expand our commercial or one of these,
Industrial, actually,
or even an industrial area.
the ideal.
We sure can look at it.
But I think we need
Well,
to.
I would tell you one of the reasons why we didn't pursue it real hard is the administrative side of things. It'd just be a really large undertaking to rezone all that property.
I see.
But it's mainly just notifying property owners, that type of stuff. Not impossible, just, like you say, it would take a little while to do.
We're mostly talking about the outskirts of everything, are we not?
Yes, yeah, and a lot of that farmland actually is, a lot of it's owned by, of course, just one farmer. There's not that many, not that many property owners. He owns most of that down the lower left.
Any other comments or discussions concerning this? I suggest we table it till we get some more information from Scott, and then have a meeting and see where we want to go from there.
Scott should probably make himself a note then too, that since Bruce likes those lights so much, that if the city moves them, they should move them to
Sure, down there.
Stevens Avenue.
Stevens Avenue. With any luck, we're gonna get 2 more of them biggies, maybe this
Where
year.
you gonna put them?
Start the trek down to the lake, and this is.
Are you gonna put those little curves going way out into the road?
No.
That was a bad idea, wasn't it?
Oh, no. No, I love them, they're very attractive.
They are attractive.
They're very attractive, and they have served their purpose. They're largely a traffic calming device.
So,
And they calm the traffic, they really do.
Pretty much drove it off Main Street.
Oh, God. Steve shot it. Oh, my God. Jeez.
that was a low blow.
That was.
I thought that'd come from me, that came from
Hey.
Bank's not doing any business anymore.
Been pretty slow.
It's been a slow year.
Woo.
Any other business?
No, I moved when you adjourned.
It's all moved and carried.